First off, let me say that I am in total agreement with J.P. Moreland regarding the current state of the local church. Moreland asserts that there exists hostility and or indifference in the development of an intellectual life in the church, in that we neither value nor do we have a strategy for developing members into Christian thinkers. I totally agree that the congregation of believers in our local churches have now become empty selves, totally dependent upon the pastor as they become more and more, as we, I should say, become more and more passive. I am also enlightened by Moreland's assessment of Ephesians 4, verses 11 through 16, in that God has given each body of believers, rather, evangelists and pastors and teachers, to equip others for ministry. Main purpose is to equip others for ministry. I believe that if the local church would embody this passage and would start training programs with the intent of equipping each person, each individual member for ministry, then the church would become more vibrant, the church would become more intellectual, and then we would become less passive. I've always thought that the idea that if it's not broken, do not fix it, was not an idea that was conducive for advancement. It's not an idea that is conducive for growth. I believe that if it's not broken, sometimes we need to break it so that we can figure out how to get higher, how to get better. I believe that each quarter, leaders, those that are in charge in the local churches, be it the pastors or planning committees, should get together to discuss and evaluate advancement ideas, how to get to a higher intellectual level. The idea of providing not only biblical training, but also psychological training, philosophical training, and other forms of training in our local churches, I believe is one of the great suggestions of this, if not the greatest suggestion, in my opinion, of this discourse. This would awaken the minds and feed the intellect of the congregations, and this type of training they would probably never get from any place else. His idea that the church should be a place of higher education, to me, is an idea that each church should adopt. Every church should begin to graft into their ministries, that this is not just a place to get together, just to follow an agenda, but a place where we come together to learn. All of J.P. Moreland's suggestions, which range from rotating speakers, instituting church libraries, offering varying and different classes along with the standard Sunday school class, are, in my opinion, solutions that will all work and are sound and biblical solutions. The church, however, must first be structured as a place of learning. It must first be structured as a place of higher education rather than a place to display or to showcase our gifts and our talents. The mind, and in particular the stimulation of the mind, somehow have not been the focus of the church. We have entertained and we have been entertained in the world, and somehow we have incorporated the church into this bag of tricks, and now we are being entertained by the church and entertaining in the church. The leaders in the church must first recognize that we have taken and must first recognize that the path that we have taken a path that is not conducive to learning, and the church must commit to make a change, to make the change to a path of intellectualism, make the church into a place that deals with all areas of life, thus catering to the entire man. And this begins with the mind, as Romans 12 verse 2 is clear to instruct us not to be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Resistance, yes, and apathy, yes, may be the result of this kind of transformation in the church. But the church must stand on the sure footing that this is the will of God and forge along the path, thus raising us to a higher intellectual level. Amen.